Hello everyone, it's April Garwood from Banana Moon Studio. In this video, I am going to be showing you how to crochet my Canada hat. This hat pattern includes 7 sizes. There's a preemie size, but this is the baby size. This is the adult small. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet the toddler size. The techniques and stitches and skills are the same for all of the sizes. If you want to make one of the other sizes, you'll want to look in the description for this video for the link to the free written pattern. That's where you'll find the numbers for the other sizes. This hat is made with a light worsted weight yarn, and I'm using a size I 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You may have to adjust your hook size in order to match gauge. To begin this hat, we are going to chain 11. And then I am going to skip the first chain, which is right here above my thumb. I want to turn this over, and I'm going to work into the bottom ridge loops of the chains, and I'm going to single crochet across. All right, then we're going to turn our work, chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of each of the stitches from row 1. So we have to turn this a little bit in order to actually see the back loop that's here. So to work in the back loop only, you'll go down through the center of the stitch and under the back loop. And we're just going to single crochet in the back loop across for row 2. And what we're doing right now is we're making that ribbed band at the bottom of the hat. We're going to do that first, and then we'll stitch the rest of the hat around the top of that band. We're going to turn and repeat that. So to make this ribbed band, we're going to be repeating row 2 over and over again. For the toddler size, I need to work a total of 60 rows in order to complete the band. That number of rows will be different for the different sizes. Again, reference the free written pattern. There's a link to that in the description for the video. When I finish those rows, I will come back to the video and show you what comes next. I finished working 60 rows for the ribbed band at the bottom of the hat. So I'm going to turn, and then making sure that I'm not twisting this, I'm going to bring my beginning end up and even with my working end. I'll chain 1. I'm going to work through the back loop only of the single crochets in the last row, and then working through the chains along the bottom edge. I'm going to go under both loops of the chain and then slip stitch through both layers. So again, back loop of the single crochet and both loops of the chain, slip stitch. I'm going to do that all the way across. So I finished seaming the band. And now what I want to do then, now that I've made this seam here, this is going to be the wrong side. So I want to turn this right side out with that seam on the inside. And now to begin the main body of the hat, first I have a setup round. So I'm going to chain one here, and then I need to single crochet around the band, and but I'm not going to single crochet in every row end. The exact pattern here of how many row ends to stitch in and how many to skip, that is going to be specific to the size of hat you're making. So if you're not making the toddler size, check the written pattern at the link in the description for this video for the exact numbers and pattern of stitches in this row. For this size, I'm going to single crochet in 9 row ends and then skip one. And I'm going to repeat that sequence 5 more times. All right, so I'm going to start with single crochet in 9 row ends. When you are single crocheting into the row ends, there is not some really specific place that your hook needs to go, but it should always go under at least 2 strands of yarn. So here where I have just this one strand, I don't want to go in just that because it's going to pull that hole open really wide. So I see there's another little strand in here. I'm going to go through so that now I have 2 strands of yarn here. That's going to help make this a little bit more secure. However you decide to do it, just be consistent, and that way you'll get a good look to it. So there's 2 row ends and 3. I've stitched into 9 row ends. Now I'm going to skip one. The next one is here, so that's where, I was going under this strand in here to get under 2 strands of yarn. But I'm going to skip this one and go right to the next one. And including this, then I'm going to single crochet in 9 row ends. So that sequence of crochet in 9 row ends and then skip one, I'm going to repeat that all the way around. And when I get to the end of this setup round, then I will come back to this video and show you what's next. So I have finished my repeats all the way around, and I'm skipping the final row end, and then I will slip stitch in the first stitch to join the end of the round. At this point, I am not going to turn my work. To begin the first round of the main body stitch pattern, we're going to start by chaining 3. Now this round uses what's called linked treble crochet stitches. For the first one in the round, we're going to go under the bottom ridge loop of the second chain from the hook and pull up a loop. And then we're going to go into the bottom ridge loop of the third chain from the hook and pull up a loop. Then we're going to go into the first stitch of the setup round and pull up a loop. Then I will yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So that is our first linked treble crochet stitch. For most of the stitches in this round, it kind of helps to turn your work sideways. You're going to go under not the front loop here, but this top horizontal bar and pull up a loop. And then under the bottom horizontal bar, you will pull up another loop. And then you'll go into the next stitch and pull up a loop there. And again, we'll yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So you're going to continue working stitches in this round, just like that one I just did. And when I have finished working this round to all but the last stitch. I'll come back to this video and show you what the last stitch of this round is going to look like. For the final stitch of this row of linked treble crochet, we are going to begin as we did with the other linked stitches. We're going to go through this horizontal bar and pull up a loop, and through the bottom horizontal bar and pull up a loop, and through the next stitch and pull up a loop. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Now here's where it gets different. We're going to go into this turning chain. It is next to the top horizontal bar of the first stitch of the round. There's, you can see a hole right there. I'm going to go through that front to back, pull up a loop, and pull that through the next 2 loops. And then I'm going to go into the top of the first stitch of the round and pull up a loop and pull that through the last 2 loops. So that allowed me to link my last stitch to that beginning turning chain in the first stitch. So that is the first round of the main body of the hat. So here I'm going to turn. For round 2, I will start by chaining 2, and that does not count as a stitch. I'm going to double crochet in each stitch around and then slip stitch in the first stitch to join at the end. So that's yarn over. Now, I did not have a slip stitch at the end of round 1, so this is the top of the last stitch from round 1, so I'm not going to skip it. I want to go right into there and double crochet. So I'll double crochet all the way around, and when I am just about ready to finish this round, I'll come back to this video and show you what comes next. I'm ready to crochet the last stitch of round 2, so double crochet here, and then to join the end of the round, I'll go in the top of the first stitch and slip stitch there. So for round 3, I need to turn. Now, round 3 is going to be just like round 1, but I want to point out one small thing here. When I chain 3 for that first linked treble, I'll pull up a loop in the second chain and pull up a loop in the third chain. Now, this right here looks like it could be the first stitch, but actually that is my joining slip stitch from the end of the previous round. So we'll skip that and place the hook here to pull up the last loop for that first linked treble for round 3. So I just wanted to point that out. So the successive rounds are going to be repeats of rounds 1 and 2. For this size, the toddler size of hat, I need to do 6 rounds before I begin the crown. The 6 includes the setup round at the very beginning here with the single crochet stitches. So I have 1, 2, 3 rounds. I need to do 3 more before I begin decreasing for the crown of this hat. The number of rounds that you will need for the other sizes may be different. So if you are working a different size and need those numbers, you'll find the link to the free written pattern in the description for this video. I am going to turn off the camera and work 3 more rounds, and then I will come back to this video and we'll work through the decreases for the crown. I have finished working the 6 rounds for the main body of this hat, so I'm going to turn my work. For the first round of the crown, I am going to chain 2, and then I'm going to double crochet in the first 7 stitches. Now that number of stitches is different depending on which size of hat you're making, so you'll want to reference the written pattern if you're making a different size. For the toddler size, it's going to be double crochet in 7 stitches. After double crocheting in 7 stitches, I'm going to work a decrease stitch we call a double crochet 2 together. So that goes like this. We yarn over and go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So we've worked part of a double crochet stitch. Now we're going to yarn over again and go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So now I've worked 2 partial double crochet stitches. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, so I finish them together, so the 2 stitches just become 1. Now I'm going to double crochet in the next 7 stitches again, and then also work a double crochet 2 stitches together, and I'm going to then repeat that sequence of stitches 4 more times. I'm ready to work the final decrease for round 1 of the crown. So then I am going to turn my work for round 2 of the crown. I will chain 3 and I'm going to be working in linked treble stitches. So I'll begin with my beginning linked treble. And then I'm going to work linked treble stitches in the next 2 stitches. Now I am going to skip the next stitch and work linked treble stitches in the next 3 stitches. So I'm still going to pull up the loops in the horizontal bars, but instead of going into the very next stitch to pull up the last loop, I'm going to skip that one and pull up a loop in the next one. And you can see that it really does not leave much of a hole like it would if we skipped a more standard stitch. So let's see, I needed to skip a stitch and linked treble in the next 3. So this is the first of that 3. So I'll do 2 more. And then I will skip the next stitch and repeat that sequence 9 more times. The number of stitches between the skips is different for different sizes, so again, reference the written pattern to get that number correct. But I am going to repeat that sequence around, and when I am ready to end this round, I will come back to this video and show you what's next. I have finished the repeats in round 2 of the crown. So now I need to skip this stitch. That's the very end of the repeat. Then I'm going to work linked treble stitches in the next 2 stitches. So I'll go ahead and pull up my loops. I'm going to skip this stitch and pull up a loop in the next. One more linked treble. Then I'm going to work my last linked treble for this round in the next to last stitch, which is the very next one. So I just worked here. I'm going to put my last linked treble for the round in the next stitch. And I'm going to skip the final stitch. So there will be nothing here. That's my last skipped stitch. So I'll go ahead and pull up the loop, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2, and then go through the turning chain that is even with the top horizontal bar. Pull up a loop, pull through 2, go through the top of the first stitch, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. Okay, so now, so some of the smaller sizes of the hat have fewer rounds in the crown. And so you'll find in the written instructions that for the preemie size, you're only going to work round 1 of the crown, and then you're going to skip to the final round of the crown instructions. For the baby size, at this point, you will be skipping to the final round. But for the toddler and child sizes, we're going to work around 3, and then for some of the larger sizes, there will be even more than that. So again, reference the written pattern for that. For round 3 of the crown, I need to turn first, and then I'm going to chain 2 and double crochet in the first stitch. Now again, I don't have a joining slip stitch to skip, so I'm going to go right in here for that double crochet in the first stitch, and then decrease the double crochet 2 together that we've already learned goes over the next 2 stitches. And then all the way around, I'm going to be doing double crochet in the next stitch and then decrease over the next 2 stitches. I'll be repeating that sequence around. I'm ready to work the final decrease for round 3 of the crown. And then I will slip stitch in the first stitch to join and turn my work. Now for the toddler size that I am making, it is time to skip to the instructions for the final round of the crown. The larger sizes have, well, the toddler and child size both skip to the final round at this point. Larger sizes have an additional round before that. So for all sizes of the hat, the final round of the crown is going to go like this. We're going to chain 2, and then we are going to double crochet 2 together all the way around. So we're just decreasing all the way around. And this is the final decrease for the final round of the crown. And then I will go through the top of the first stitch and slip stitch to join. And then you'll want to leave your very top end, or I'm sorry, your very last tail fairly long, and then fasten off. To close this hole at the very top of the hat, right there, we're going to take that long tail and thread it into a tapestry needle, which is a large eye needle with a blunt tip. And then we're going to make this kind of like a drawstring. So we're going to go into the top of the first stitch and out the top of the next. So we're going to be able to cinch this closed just by going in and out of the tops of the stitches in the last round. Okay, and then we're back to where I joined right here. This is my tail. I'm going to go back in right here. All right, so now when I pull, it pulls the top shut. Then just to secure things, it's hard to see at this point what to do, but I'm going to go back in and out again as well as I am able through the tops of the stitches. Sorry, I had it where you couldn't see there. So it's kind of difficult to tell what we're doing at this point, but just as well as you're able, go back around those stitches again, and that's just going to be to make sure that our end is secure. And again, just kind of give it a tug to make sure it's pulled tight. You can do this another, sorry, I want my hand up inside of there, it makes it easier. You're going to do this another 1 or 2 times of going around, just to make sure that it's not going to come undone. All right, I'm going to call that good, and then I'm going to go in here to the inside of the hat, and then you'll want to weave in your end just by going through the loops along the inside of the hat. And kind of go back and forth a little in a zigzag. That will help secure your end so it's not going to come undone very easily. And then once more, I'm just going to go back exactly the way I came through the same loops. And then I'll cut off what's left there. Okay, so if you would like a pom-pom on the top of your hat, this is totally optional, and I haven't woven it on my ends here. But I'll show you in this hat that I've already finished how that's done. So inside the top, just inside that center hole, I sewed this 1/2 inch button in here. And then you can see the elastic loop around it. This faux fur pom, you can see the elastic loop in there. It has this elastic loop, and you'll just use your crochet hook and stick it through, like in this hat that I just made. You'll stick it through that top hole, and then you'll put the elastic loop of the pom around it and pull it through there, and then you'll secure it around the button that you've sewn on the inside. That's how you secure the ones that have the elastic loop. If you have a pom that, either a yarn pom that you have made yourself, if you're making your own, then when you tie the center of the pom-pom, leave those ties long. Or if you buy a pom-pom that has 2 strings or ribbons, you'll just pull each of those like through separate holes. So maybe like just to the side of the center. You'll pull them through the 2 holes and tie them in a bow on the inside. And that way, whichever way you secure it, either with a bow or with the elastic loop in the button, the pom will be removable, because yarn poms and faux fur poms will be ruined by going through your washing machine. So you want them to be removable. Okay, so that finishes the tutorial for the Canada hat. Again, check the description for this video. There's a link to the free written pattern where you'll be able to find all of the numbers for all of the sizes. And that's it, and I hope you all have a lovely day.